Hello and welcome to Downriver Rescue Connection. I'm your host, Patty Radikovich, and it is my privilege to bring you information on animal-related topics and the animal rescue community. On today's episode, we have ACOs and the shelter attendant from the Brownstown Animal Shelter. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
This is Animal Control Officer Marty Bertera.
Yes.
Shelter attendant Kaylin, and the new Animal Control Officer George Dupuie.
Hello.
So why don't we start off, Marty, why don't you tell a little bit about the Brownstown Shelter? For some reason, a lot of people don't even realize that the shelter's there, but it's been around for a long time. So how long has it been there?
It's been there about 30 years. It's really in the last couple of years with the dog park and the new shelter, a lot more people are familiar with it. And our volunteer group is really spreading the word out very well. It's amazing, the influx of people we had in the last couple of years. Much better than the preceding years.
So where's the shelter located?
It's on it's on Telegraph, right between King and Carter Road, which is the Icebox Ice Arena, and there's a little Mexican restaurant on the street. It's called Lillian. You take that all the way to the back. We're a little bit off track, but we're right back there, and it's the only building back there, and we're right next to dog parks.
Okay. Yeah. So how long have you been ACO at the shelter?
I've been working for the township for 15 years, and I've been doing ACO for about 11 now.
Okay, great. Yeah. So now, recently, you've always obviously done the Brownstown animals, but recently you've started to take on animals from Melvindale too, is that correct?
Yeah, we do Melvindale. We started this year around April 1st, I think it was. And so what they do is basically we're a housing unit for them. They bring the animals to us. We house them, and then after 10 days, they turn them over to us, and everyone that they have brought in so far, we have adopted out. So it's really great. So we're doing really good on that.
Great. And so that was when George joined your team around that time, is that correct?
Right. When I originally got hired in, we had 2 officers, and then just because of the budget crunch and the bubble, everything kind of went downhill. So I've been working on my own for the last couple of years. So with Melvindale coming in, and we do Rockwood, we help them out. So we definitely needed the help. And I think this year we're about 150 more animals, now not including Melvindales, that we had more this year than last year. So that's quite a bit.
Okay, and you guys take in dogs and cats, and a lot of people don't know that you have actually a lot of cats at your shelter.
Right now we expanded. We just built a new cat room. We have 3 cat rooms. Originally, when the shelter was built, we only built 1 cat room. Now we expanded it to 3, and then the last one we just built is twice as big as the other 2. And we have about 70 cats in there right now. And what we like to do, our volunteer staff, we have not really had to euthanize anything unless it's been very aggressive or sick for the last couple of years. It's because of our volunteers. I have to just keep on saying our volunteers are the greatest. If it wasn't for them, we would be spending most of our time just in the shelter euthanizing animals, and they don't deserve it. But now, with them working there, our adoption rates are way high. And we're not at high price. We make sure that they get neutered, spayed, and they either feline leukemia tested or heartworm tested before they leave. And if I can add one more thing, if they're a kitten or a puppy too young, we go ahead and you can bring them back when they get of age, and we'll pay for it at that time.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah, so you guys take you make sure that the animals go to the vets, which is a little bit different than some of the shelters, because not every shelter is able to do that.
Right.
But you guys are able to get the animals to the vets and make sure that they're healthy animals, and there is an adoption fee for that, but the public is getting they're getting a good value for it, because it would cost a lot more if they had to go on their own.
Yes, very small adoption fee. I mean, we really do not make any money off of it. Our big thing is to get the animals out of there to a nice home.
Well, trust me, as a rescue, we understand. People think that we make lots of money, and we don't. We don't make money off of the animals at all. The amount of money that goes in for their care is a lot more than what's asked for in return for the adoption fee.
And you have to love animals. Now, that's one thing they say, that everybody think that because you're an animal control officer that you don't like animals. But to be a good animal control officer, you really have to like animals. Otherwise, you're just going to be a bad animal control officer. You don't really care. about the animals, and it's not good for the animals, and it's not good for the person, because the, euthanization rate goes up if you don't care about them.
Right.
So,
That's right.
So George, let me ask you, you recent addition to the staff over at Brownstown. So what are your thoughts on Brownstown? What do you like about this shelter that's different from maybe some of the other places that you've worked?
Well, I came from Huron Township, where there really wasn't that many animals. You talk about not well known. Huron Township was not well known at all, but it was a very small facility. Coming to Brownstown, it's been a real eye-opener. There's just a tremendous amount of dogs and cats that come through, and I'm amazed at how many volunteers are coming in just on a regular basis asking if they can volunteer, and we're only too happy to hand out the forms and get them in there to help out the animals.
Okay, so why don't we talk a little bit about the volunteers. I want to give a shout out to Mary, who's my friend that's a volunteer over there.
Mary's very good, very hard worker.
So
Very hard worker.
tell us a little bit about your volunteer program. How does it all work?
Basically, we have a form, we have a little booklet which explains our whole operation. We explain into there in the booklet that we are not a non-kill shelter, but we try our best not to. And like I said earlier, only time we euthanize if something's really sick or very aggressive. We had not had to euthanize because of overpopulation yet, but we're getting pretty close there. So with our cats, our dogs, right now we have hardly any dogs there. Matter of fact, we don't have any, right?
Right.
No dogs right now.
No dogs now.
But our volunteer staff, they come in, day out. They come in, they hands-on with the pets, the cats, the dogs. They walk the dogs in the dog park. They they play with the cats. They let them roam the shelter. So it's really great for them.
They list them on Facebook.
Yes, they do. Yes.
There's
Pet Finder.
Pet Finder, For the Love of Louie. There's just all these avenues that they use to really help.
Yeah, we're on now, since George is over here and we got our volunteer staff working so well, we're on the road a lot. So Kaylin works more with the volunteers day in, day out than we do. But we do help them out in the morning and so forth. And our philosophy at the shelter is nobody's really the boss. I mean, I'm the captain of the ship only when we get close to the shore. Otherwise, we let everybody steer the ship. Everybody has an input. Because I don't know anything. I always say the smartest man, whoever there was the man who invented the eraser on a pencil, because he knows people make mistakes. So that's the way we operate there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now, Kaylin, your position is new, and you actually started off as a volunteer. So can you tell us what a shelter attendant does?
Yes, well, a shelter attendant usually cleans the dog kennels, sanitizes cat cages. I put animals on Pet Finder also. I just do basically a lot of what the volunteers do. I help out at events. I do whatever they tell me to. I enjoy it a lot. I've learned so much throughout the whole process. I mean, from volunteers who've been there, for years, and from these guys. I mean, I couldn't imagine doing their job. They make all sorts of decisions that, I respect them immensely for. So, yeah, but I love it.
Yeah. Well, Kaylin, when she first got in there, she was a volunteer, and she was, all volunteers work very, very hard, but she worked like nonstop, and we found out there was going to be a summer position, and we asked some of the other girls at the shelter, and we finally went to Kaylin because they all suggested Kaylin, and she worked out very well for us so far, and I think she will be. Matter of fact, today they said that you were going to be hired full-time, so which is really good for us.
Great,
That's
definitely.
Great. And that's what a lot of the public doesn't realize sometimes when you're dealing with the shelter is that they think that you have enough volunteers to come in and clean everything, and or that's supposed to be your job, even though you're supposed to be out on the road. And so when you finally can get somebody in to cover that, then you can do what you really need to do.
Right.
And the animals are taken care of.
Correct. We were able to. Well, we had a hoarder's case that we're working on right now that we were able to put a lot more time into it because of being able to not stay at the shelter would be 2 or 3 hours we would be working there.
Right.
you know, not being on the road. So,
Right.
Kaylin takes the pressure off us immensely. Oh, boy, she's a worker. This girl's a worker.
Good.
Thank you, Jordan.
Well, why don't people are probably wondering what these two little doggies are
Okay.
doing here for, or what they're here for, and I think this one wants to be on TV. So
Yeah,
why
that's-
don't you tell us about these little guys?
this is Holly and Truman. This is Holly right here. We adopted out a family member of theirs to maybe about a year ago, and so we're like I said, we don't have any dogs at the shelter right now, so we brought these family members over here today, so you can see some of the animals we have. And if you came into our shelter and you seen these dogs in the cage, all you would have to do is say, I would like to take that dog and take him for a walk, and if you liked him and we liked you, you would be able to adopt them out for the low price that we adopt all our animals out at.
Okay, great.
We don't charge anything extra for different breeds or anything else
Right.
like that.
And this is just an example of, so this is a Happy Tales that you guys have, an example of the animals that do come through. A lot of people think that it's just mixed breeds that come through the shelter, and that's not the case at all. You
Correct.
get a lot of purebreds, you know, people give up animals for different reasons.
Right, right.
So, you know, we always tell people, you know, check the shelters first or check on Pet Finder because you can rescue an animal for any breed that's conceivable.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And, you know, Pet Finder is one of the greatest things. I mean, for people looking for lost animals or even looking, let's talk about BB.
BB. Oh, yes.
BB, this is a dog we had for over 2 months at our shelter. And nobody would adopt it out, but the owner ended up coming in and found that it was his dog after 2 months, and we sent it home with him. And luckily, I guess good for him, we got it neutered.
Right.
So it worked out well for him.
Now, as far as like lost pets and trying to reunite owners, what are some of the best ways you can recommend to make sure that the owners can be reunited with their pets?
Oh, yeah, I think it's around 90% or even higher. If they don't have dog tags on, the chances of them getting back home are very slim. So the number one thing I would say is dog license or at least a chip. And the biggest thing is we like dog license because when we look at that, we know that the dog has its rabies shots. And that's a big concern of us. And that's one of the best ways, I would imagine.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So now talk a little bit about that with rabies. You know, we were talking a little bit before the show, and a lot of people think that rabies has been eradicated in the state of Michigan, and so they've gotten a little lax and don't always like to register their animals.
Yeah.
So you were telling me a little bit about some cases that had come up
Oh
recently.
yeah, we were up in class. It was last year, and there was one or two cases with dogs. I would say one, but there was 7 with horses. Believe it or not, and the bat population. There's a lot of rabies with bats, and they bite the horses and so on. And that's how that comes about. So yeah, but it's very important because if we get a dog that bites somebody and it doesn't have a dog tag on it, we don't know anything about that dog. That dog does
Right.
not talk, and we don't want to put anybody through rabies shots, you know, any kid that was bit. So if you have that tag on, you look right away, look up your records. Oh, those rabies shots are good for 3 years. You got another 2 years to go. Excellent. Makes the family go down easy and makes our job a lot easier.
Right. So yeah, and that's one of the things with licensing that's really important. And a lot of people think the city is just getting money off of it, and the amount of money for the licenses for cities is really not that much. I mean, it's really for your safety and for your dog's safety to make sure that if your animal gets lost, it can be returned to you. And the same thing with cats. But if they get lost, they can get returned to you. But also, you know, to make sure that you're following with the state guidelines and to protect the health of
Yeah,
our
a little
community.
side note to that, I was doing some research of animals. Well, I like the Civil War period of our American history, but I was doing some research of dog. They made you license your dog back in the 1860s, and that was $1 back at that time, and $5 at that time was $125. So you're talking maybe $33 for a license, roughly. So you know, when you spend $5, $8, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't we talk a little bit about your dog park? Because that's something else that people don't realize that Brownstown has.
Yeah, we have 2 dog parks. Residents, it's $25 a year, and for non-residents, it's $35. We have a little key swab. You swab it in, you go in, and you stay as long as you want and come out when you want, as long as you pick up your waste, and everybody's been pretty good on it. How many animals we have using the park right now? Licensed?
I believe, was it 58 or something?
Oh,
I
okay,
can't
thought it was
recall.
higher than that,
Yeah,
but
big.
okay. But there's quite, I think it's, yeah.
Is it
quite a-
higher?
Yeah,
Is it?
higher
Yeah.
than that. So, yeah, we get a lot of use out of it and so forth.
Great, because I know there's a
Say
lot of
that word
people.
again. Youth.
A lot of people complain that there are no dog parks in the area, but there actually are. So you guys
Yeah.
have two. And I know Trenton Woodhaven just opened theirs.
Yeah, they have a nice big one. They have
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty nice. And
So-
we had no trouble with dog fights or anything like that that's been reported to us. You know, most of the time the dog park is used on the weekends and after hours, but we haven't had any phone calls or anything like that there's been aggression out there. So
Great.
people know how to introduce their animals, which is good. So.
Great. So now you get some interesting calls as an ACO. Sometimes you were telling me a little bit about those. So why don't you tell us about the unusual calls that you sometimes get from people about
Well, let me
animals?
see. Alligators is probably the biggest one that we had. Yes, there was a resident nearby the shelter that they got a little alligator. It was about, I don't know, a foot long, and they built a long cage in their front room, built a wall in front of that, and the thing ended up getting 5 feet long. And then they didn't know what to do with it, and so we had to go get it, and that was quite interesting since we don't work with alligators that
Right.
much. And there was a gentleman, we took it out to Belleville. I don't know, you might know his
Yep, I
name.
know him.
Yeah,
Yep.
and he took care of it for us and so forth. And then what did we have? Emu?
Emu, yeah, that was
Yeah,
fun. We
yeah.
chased an emu through a field,
Yeah.
and you can't catch an emu. There's no way to catch them. They're just way too fast. Luckily, the owner helped us out on that
Yeah,
one.
that's right.
Got him to sit down for us, and we
Yeah.
were able to help him out.
Potbelly pigs, we
Yeah.
had that before. I could, I drive a Tahoe, so basically you just cannot pick one up and put it in there. We had to have a regular police car come there, and he just jumped up that little ways and so forth. Horses, cows.
Peacocks.
Yeah, peacocks. So it's a wide amount of animals. Mostly skunks and raccoons, are
Right.
wild animals. It's just like all downriver. Coyotes.
Lots
Foxes.
of skunks.
Yeah,
A lot of
lots
skunks
this
lately.
year for some reason.
Yeah.
Don't know why.
Yeah,
So,
they just want to come out.
yes, and they do come out. There was, I think we had like 28 at one house throughout the summer last year. That was quite a bit. So,
Right.
yeah.
So now let's talk a little bit about the cat overpopulation problem that we have, because obviously, just for people to realize that, you have a good sized shelter, you have enough to keep you guys going, that you have 2 ACOs, and like I said, you've adopted out all your dogs, but you still have 70 cats, and a lot of people don't realize there's this many cats. So what are some of the things that people can do to help to control the cat population?
Spade, neutering, keeping your cats in the house. That's the number one thing. But really, spade and neutering is the number one thing. We have so many, well, this cat's been around, and then, she has babies, and the babies have babies, and it's just a big round circle, So,
Okay, so yeah, obviously the spaying and neutering, and we're trying to get that message across about and TNR. And sometimes I think there's parts of Brownstown where, aren't as the houses aren't as close together, not as
Populated, correct.
it's not as populated.
Right.
So people think they can just dump their animals, which may explain why you get a little bit of a higher.
right, yeah, and if you don't have money, and we tell this to everybody, if you don't have money, bring your animal to us. If you can go out and pay us within a year, we don't care, as long as we have your animal in there. I mean, this is my famous story, you can go pick up 10 pop bottles a week, and there's $1, and we only charge $10 for a give up, so it wouldn't take you long to pay off that debt. So that's one of the big things. Bring them to us. We'll take care of them. We'll take care of them.
All right, yeah, and I know you guys work with people too, because we feel like as long as it's a good home and they're not abusive to the animal, we'd like to keep the people with their pets. So
Oh,
if they
yeah,
need
certainly.
assistance,
Right.
you'd much rather see the animal stay with their owner than to have them give up their pet because they simply cannot they can't afford it.
Oh, yeah, and matter of fact, for any residents in a Downriver area, we have a food bank. If you need food, cat food, dog food, we even have kitty litter. if you're running out of money, come and see us, and we'll just give you what we have. We have no problem with that. You can come every 2 weeks if you like, because we just have piles of it, and we'd like to give it away.
Yep, and then we have, in the Basil's Buddies, we have our food bank too, so they can also come to us.
Oh, very good, yes.
Set up,
Right.
set up with
Yeah.
us, and so there's ways like, we want to make sure people know that,
Well-
you're not there to take people's animals away. If it's a good home, you're trying to help them
Yeah.
to keep
I
their
think what we're
animals.
going to do now is we're going to give all our food to Basil Buddies, and you
You
can
can-
just go there. And I think we just made some room in our shelter.
Yeah, you have to take the pressure off, you guys. That's
All
what
right,
we're
we
there
like
for.
that. You like that?
Yeah.
Kaylin's got to
Absolutely.
carry all the bags. So.
Yeah. Right.
But we have a lot of donations, so of food
great.
and so forth.
Now, you guys just did an event this past weekend that
Oh, we
actually
did,
brought in a
yeah.
lot of donations for the shelter.
Right, and it was kind of a semi-spur of the moment. We really didn't advertise it real well, but we had our volunteers again had a garage sale, bake sale, and it was this first Saturday, and we raised close to $2,000. $2,000 is for stuff that people were going to throw away. And the way we did it, and since it was my first one, our first one, we just had, if you wanted a computer, you could offer us $5. Okay, you have it. Whatever you want to, and it adds up very quickly. So we're ready for next year.
Yep.
Right? Next year.
And the people were pretty good too. I mean, if something was worth maybe $20, they'd give you that 20,
Yeah.
maybe 30. I mean,
Yeah.
they knew it was going to a good cause. So
Yeah, and that's what, and we at Basil's Buddies, we've done a yearly garage sale, the Pay What You Want to Donate garage
Right,
sale for a
yeah.
couple of years.
Great.
We're actually doing ours over Labor Day, and actually we're getting some of your leftovers
Yes,
from
you
your
are.
garage
Yes,
sale. So if you missed theirs,
yes.
you can
If
come
you're
down
looking
and
for a
get it.
treadmill, 2 of them,
Yes.
right there, and they
Yeah.
work, and they're very good.
Uh-huh.
Of course, we haven't been using them. They are very, yes. And so we'll exchange the gifts and the food at the same time. How's that,
And
huh?
I have cages for you guys.
Oh,
so.
okay, see, everything
All
works
right.
out well.
See, a lot of people don't realize that we do all work together Downriver. We all try,
Right.
the rescues and the shelters, we all try to work together. We're all in it for the animals. We're trying to help the animals, make sure the animals get good homes, and we're trying to help the people too, and make
Right.
sure the people that are falling on hard times that, they can keep their pets, and
That's right.
what we're all here for. I want to break that misconception that people have of, like you said, that people think that some ACOs don't like animal, and that's not the case at all.
Right.
Everybody's there for the animals and for the owners.
Like Basil Buddies. Rescue groups are the voices for these animals right here because, they're not saying anything in this interview tonight, so we're doing their talking for them, so,
Right.
yes.
They just get to sit there and look cute.
Yeah,
they
they
have the
do.
easy job.
Yeah, they have the easy job, yes.
They do it well though.
So is there any other messages that you would like to get across to the public? Just anything in general about the shelter or just about animals
Well,
in
the
general?
biggest thing is, like I said earlier, is rabies shots, please. License that gets your dog back home quickly to you. And the other thing is that come and try our dog park. Use it. It's very nice. I think your dog will enjoy it. And come and see our cats because our cats are looking for a good home. So,
Yeah, they are.
right?
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah. If
And
you're-
there's Kaylin does most of, she works with the cats. When the volunteers get behind, she goes ahead and starts cleaning the cages with them. But most of the time she cleans our dogs. We don't let anybody else besides Kaylin clean the dog cages and
Okay.
so forth. And but you know quite a bit about the cats, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, matter of fact, you were talking about trap and release. We just went to the Paws Clinic today with
Okay.
3 of our
Yep.
cats, and they're going to be trapped and released after they get their ears clipped, and away they go.
Great.
So that's a good thing.
So now tell us, what are your hours for adoption if anybody's looking for a cat?
Well, it used to be from 8 to 9 and 2:30 to 3:30, but now that we have Kaylin here, it's all day long.
Okay, great.
You just
Yep.
from 8 o'clock to 3:30, 4 o'clock. That's what time we're adopting from. And we'll come after hours if need be. You know, Mary, like you said, she'll be there. Adoption, she'll leave in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning. to adopt something else, you know, so,
Yeah.
yes.
so-
And,
great. And tell everybody again where you're located.
we are right up on Telegraph between Carter Road and King Road on Lillian, right? There's a Mexican restaurant right there, and it's called El Dorado. Take that all the way to the back. We're right there next to the dog parks. And come,
Great.
and I'll tell you what, You come and you say you've seen us on TV, and we'll knock $10 off your adoption price.
Hey.
All right.
There you
And
go.
if you say you liked it, we'll knock $15 off. That's how many cats we have.
Yeah, so if you're looking for a cat, like, it's a really great deal. They take them all to the vet, so you know that they're tested for feline leukemia,
Yeah.
feline AIDS. They're combo tested. That you'll know which ones are negative. I think they've gotten like their first shots.
Yes, yes.
They're fixed already. It's a really good deal. Like I said, they've got a ton of cats, so you want to make sure if you're looking for one, go check Brownstown out and check out their cats. And you can
yeah,
go Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Right.
And the other thing is, too, I should explain, is that we let you take home a dog or a cat for a day, because you can adopt a dog out of the shelter, but you really don't know until you have that dog there for a day, and he gets used to your house, and he might just chew up your new slippers or high heels, and you might say, "Oh, I want him to come back."
So overnight visits.
Yeah,
that's,
overnight visits. Yes.
That's
So
something that not every shelter does, so
Yes.
that's good to know. So you can take them for a trial.
Yes,
There you
and
go.
we use that. All we do is a transfer of ownership for a day. Then you come back with the dog, or you come back with the other paperwork we give you, and you adopt the dog out at that time.
Great.
So so it works very well. So far it has. So,
Great.
yeah.
Well, I want to thank you guys for
Okay.
coming on the show, George, Kaylin, and Marty. I really appreciate you guys coming and talking to us today, and hopefully you learned a little bit about the Brownstown Animal Shelter, and you go down and check them out and support them. Obviously, you can go and volunteer, or you can adopt a cat. We're just about out of time, and I just want to remind everyone that there are a lot of homeless pets out there looking for their homes. Please check into adoption if you're looking for an animal. There's all types of breeds out there available for animal adoption. Remember that you can find dogs like this who are purebreds, and you can find mutts too, and they're all just as great. And you can find cats as well. So remember to please spay and neuter your
Your
pets.
pets.
See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.